Okay, so let me introduce Melissa. Melissa Arrigotti is one of our student advisors, and she resides in Portland. And she has used career cruising for a long time in her work, and so she's a pretty good expert at this. And she's going to share how career cruising works so that your students can really get a lot out of this program. And I think once you guys understand what is all available in here, I think you'll be pretty excited to get your students to use this, and you'll learn how you can see how they are doing on the career cruising. And also we'll talk about the test method prep, SAT and ACT test prep. We'll go over that too also. So Melissa, I'll let you take over, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your evening to come learn about career cruising. I'm going to give you an overview that will show you the key pieces that make it such a valuable tool for you and your students. Some of you have students that have career cruising at school. Some of you have a different program. Lots of our schools use Naviance. But this is a great supplement if your school, whether they have it or don't, we offer the method test prep that not everybody who has career cruising offers. And we have parent accounts so that you guys can see what your kids are working on and what their progress is. So lots of positive things. I'm going to cover 3 of the main areas and then in more detail and then just touch base on a couple other ones. One of the things I want to start with is when you signed up for the program, you got a username and password for your student and for your parent. If you don't have that for logging into career cruising, email your advisor, whether it's me or it's Kathy, and we will get you those username and passwords quickly with quick turnaround time for that. I'll answer some right after the presentation tonight, and if you still have questions tomorrow, I'm happy to answer those. And if you can't reach either of us or you're not sure who your advisor is, the office can also give you usernames and passwords anytime. So let me get started. To log in, you go to careercruising.com and you use your username and password. Once you're there, mine automatically saves and logs me in. So you can see here that I've set it up to have my plan where I can save as if I'm a student. So I'll be showing you as if I'm going through as a student. The toolbars across the top where it says assessments, careers, education, that's all the same as the toolbar going down the side where you're exploring interests, learning about careers, or exploring education. And those are the 3 areas that I'll touch on before I touch on method test prep tonight. The financial aid tab, I let our financial advisors work on that with you, the financial aid piece. But there's a little more information here and sometimes can help you refresh or talk with your advisor while you're looking at it in the future. And the employment tab is more for our seniors or other schools that are using career cruising as a way to connect to job sites and look at the different things that are available now for where jobs are, what they're paying, what's in demand. So that's the first 3, the assessment, careers, and education, that I think are most useful that I want to share with you tonight. I'm going to start by clicking on the assessment tab. And it's going to show you 2 of the 3 assessments that we have for helping you find what career you're interested in. So I have the matchmaker and my skills, and I have the learning styles inventory that you can see on this main page. The ability profiler is only offered to career cruising accounts that are inside schools. So it's something that we ignore. But we have the learning styles inventory and the matchmaker and my skills set up for you to take whenever you're interested, and you can do them more than once. So I want to show you what matchmaker looks like. My big recommendation for using matchmaker is to avoid using this does not matter box as much as you can. that will help narrow down the options it gives you at the end for careers that might fit you. And if you have an opinion, you should use the like or dislike, or the dislike very much. But there are some times where it really doesn't matter, or you're not sure. So not a big deal if you do use the does not matter a couple times in those 39 questions. So it asks you to set up a label. So I'm just going to say take 2. And I'll just show you a couple of these. It lets you tell the computer what level of education you're heading for, how much you're willing to do to take these jobs. I leave all of them checked because the students we're working with I know are heading to 2 and 4 universities, so I keep all the options open. And then I just want to show you a couple of these parts of the main questions. So how would you like a career which includes working with children? This more info box is so easy to skip over, but has great information in it. It clarifies the question. And sometimes when you take these assessments, you think, well, it's so vague. How would I know? Well, this makes it really clear. This means children or teenagers from birth to 18. You need to be patient and understanding and approachable. So it gives you kind of the reason that it's asking and a little more information about why they're asking. So I know that I like that very much. So as soon as I check the box, it's on to the next question. In this assessment, there's 39 questions. It takes 10 minutes at the most to do. But I'm going to go back and show you what the results look like. So it won't save, that's okay. And clicked on assessments, and this is where I saved my results from last night. And there's so much here to see and explore that it gets really exciting. So I took the test and I was really honest about me as a person, and it suggested I should be a principal or high school teacher. And I was surprised because usually these tests come back telling me I should be a school counselor like I've been for the last 15 years now. So from here, it shows you the career cluster recommendations. So I would enjoy jobs that are inside education and training or human services. It's showing me where level of education I was willing to pursue. So I could narrow this down by saying I only wanted a high school diploma, and then it would remove things from here that require more education. This option to improve your results. You can continue the assessment for 116 questions, and it narrows down and drills in and really gets to the careers that fit all of your criteria. So I did a few more of those, and it narrowed down my responses a bit. The My Skills test is more of a self-assessment. It has you rate yourself on what skills you currently have. So using your hands in a skillful way, I am pretty clumsy. So I was going to say, like, I know I could prepare food and paint or decorate. So I'm going to say I have some skill. And then it just moves you on, and you do that for the 45 questions. And this is more to kind of help you when you start doing your resume, start thinking about the things that you like to do and how that could lead into a career. So I won't go all the way through this one, but it is, it's nice to be able to measure that for yourself and see where you've grown and what skills you want to work on. Yes, it is okay not to save that. So after you do all those questions and you get your results, I wanted to show you a couple of things that I get really excited about and my other students get excited about. So say you're looking through here and the top choice that you have, something that you know you've always wanted to do, is nowhere in here. And you can't quite figure out, which part, is there something I wasn't good at or something I said I didn't want to do? Would I be willing to change that in order to try that job? You can come down to here where it says find other careers. And I'm going to say, I want to be a school counselor. Why didn't that come up? And once you search it and select it, it tells you your responses and what was related to why it got eliminated. And so for me, looks like because I said dealing with paperwork such as letters, forms, and records didn't matter, that it was less likely to pop up into my results. So this suitable for you piece can help you see, like maybe I should work on persuading and motivating other people if that was going to be a career that I wanted to pursue. And then once you have a career that you've chosen and you want to learn more about, I want to show you how amazing all this information is. I'm going to go back and I'm going to use physical therapist as my example. I got here just by clicking search for careers. And I have several students that I've worked with in the last few weeks that were interested in physical therapy. And this part was key when I was talking to some of our students, that to be a physical therapist, you are going to need a 4-year college or university, and then some. It'll tell you that in a minute. So I'm going to choose physical therapist. So to explore this career, there's so much information here. I have the earning range, the level of education. You can click here to see where it would fit your criteria or not. These career videos are excellent. They do a good job of what is a day in the life like? What do you wish that you had known before you got into this career? What would you tell other people? The interviews over here on the side, they usually have a male and a female in the career, and those are good interviews, good videos to watch. And then down here where it talks about attributes and abilities, I use these parts with our students to talk about when they're building a resume or they're applying to college, that these kind of abilities are things that you might want to highlight or focus your volunteer time on, or talk about in your essay, because they'll be looking for people that have these attributes and abilities. There are so many careers in here and so much information that you can pull out of the information here. Information pulled out of information. There's so much detail. And so it talks about the education and training that you need, what kind of college program you should be looking for, whether it's a major or if there's a pre-physical therapy studies program. And then I love this part too. Parents, this is a great way to help your students plan out their high school career, is looking at the recommended classes. That if I'm a student in high school right now and I'm working towards being a physical therapist, these are suggested courses. You know, not every school is going to have anatomy and physiology or health science 1, 2, 3, but it's a great suggestion and a great jumping off point for what classes should I take and how does this lead into my future. So I'm going back to the assessments and jumped around a bit here. The first tab in assessments, I talked about Matchmaker and my skills, and I jumped over the learning styles inventory. I did this one last night. It confirmed that yes, I'm a visual learner, but it's a short quiz to determine what type of learner you are, which I'm sure your students have already started to do this, but knowing your own learning style can help them study better, know how they learn, what ways they remember things, and help to make them better students too. So I think my students usually have fun with quizzes, so we often do this one. The careers tab I jumped into without telling you. But here are where you can just search a certain career that you're looking for, search by career cluster, school subjects. There's a military careers section. It's a great thing to go play with. And then here's Career Selector. And this can help narrow down what areas to be looking for, looking at that are things that you enjoy. So I'm going to say that when I was in high school, I really enjoyed art and music and science and English. PE, not so much. And then career clusters, I really knew I wanted to be in education or working and serving the community around me. Level of education, I was headed to a 4-year university. Core tasks. So as we're getting into this, you can see how it's narrowing down the things that you like to do or don't like to do. It's letting you pick what's important to you. And so then it asks, what kind of earnings are you looking for? Higher level eliminates careers, yep. And then working conditions. I knew that I did not want to work outside and have to work in the rain in Oregon. And so this one has narrowed down to, for me, an agricultural educator and a principal, which comes back to what it recommended to me in the first place. So these are just different ways of pulling out the things that you're interested in doing and what the computer thinks you'll be good at in the future. So then I want to jump to the education tab and show you how to build a college list. This is the piece that gets me most excited and is the most fun to do. I would recommend doing it with your student or students. If you're doing it first, bring in your parents and have them say how they would answer for you. Sometimes often our parents know us better than we know ourselves as teenagers. So there's 2 options here for building your list. One is just searching the name of the school. Some of you already have lists, or you have a place that's been your dream school forever and you want to learn more about it. You could type Massachusetts Institute of Technology at MIT would come up and you could go learn about it. But the piece for our students that don't know exactly or want to have more options is the school selector. And I'm going to walk you all the way through that one because of how much information is there. And I'll go quickly through the pieces that are just me telling you what kind of school I went to in high school, wanted to go to high school. But I'm excited to show you the matches and the results at the end. So my parents told me I could go to any private college that was 4-year. So that's easy for me to narrow down here. They said I had to be within a 6-hour drive of home. So home is Portland, and I knew I didn't want to stay in Oregon. So I picked Washington, Idaho, and a tiny bit of Nevada. I didn't think I wanted to go to California. If you don't know exactly what states you want or distance, here there's options for choosing regions. You want to stay Midwest, you want to go to the Atlantic coast. And I'm not thrilled with super urban colleges. I liked the idea of having a big sprawling campus and lots of space. So I'd say suburban, rural, or small town. Admission difficulty is an important choice here. What level of admission difficulty are you looking for? Most of the students that we're working with choose moderately difficult or very difficult for where they are hoping to go. And looking at the definitions of that, moderately difficult is more than 75% of the freshmen were in the top half of their class and scored over 10 on the SAT or over 18 on the ACT. About 85% of those applicants were accepted. Very difficult is top 10% of their high school, 1230 SAT. So it's telling you the definition for sure. You can see where you fit in there once you have SAT results or ACT results and where you are in class ranking. So since most of our students pick those, I'm going to put these 2. I knew for sure that I wanted to study abroad. So when it asked me about special program options, I knew I wanted to be able to study abroad. I didn't end up going, but it was an option. And I wanted somebody to accept advanced placement credit. On to tuition. This part, for some of my students, I have them say it doesn't matter. If they haven't talked that financial aid piece yet with parents and with Stuart or Chris or Steve, but if you know what you are looking to spend, you can certainly put that in there. having it not matter creates more options, and then you can help narrow it down from there with other requirements. I didn't want to go to a tiny school. I didn't want to go to a huge school. So I'm going to pick medium or large. And I definitely wanted to go co-ed. I have worked with a couple students lately that were interested in an all-female school or an all-male school. There we go, co-ed. So it's nice to know that option is listed here. I'm not an athlete. I am a professional spectator. So if I was a high school student, I would have skipped over all of this. But I also like that there's men's and women's listed here. And for majors, I knew I wanted to major in psychology. For all of my students that are in the room, I would love to be able to use you as an example next time I do this webinar, instead of telling you all about myself. So if you find that this is really helpful to you, tell me about it. I'd love to take some screenshots. I'm going to add psychology to my selector. I'm going to go on to campus life and services. I do want to live on campus. The first 2 years, my parents said I needed to live in female-only dorms, so I chose that one. And I would really like some help knowing what I'm going to do with my future. So I chose career counseling as an availability on campus. And over here, you can see I've narrowed down to 8 matches. I'm going to go see my results. And I have 6 schools that match my criteria. Northwest Nazarene, Pacific Lutheran, Northwest University, Walla Walla, Whitman, and Whitworth. And those really were some of the ones that I was considering and visited when I was in high school. So I'm appreciating how accurate career cruising is, and really wish I had it when I was trying to make these decisions on my own. Another piece that's interesting is the close matches. So there are 230 more schools that match 11 of the 12 choices I made. And so I could go in there and say, click on that 230. Where I ended up going was Gonzaga University. And so here is Gonzaga University listed. I know it only meets 11 of my 12 things, so let's go see what didn't fit. And it doesn't think it's suburban, rural, or small town, so it must think it's an urban school. That's true, you could walk to downtown. But this definitely helps you narrow down, make a list, explore schools that you hadn't heard of before. When I did my own searching for schools, Northwest Nazarene and Northwest University weren't ones that I looked at. And if I had this then, I would have gone and done some research. Okay, so what I want to do is show you, now that we have them narrowed down, I am going to, well, let me tell you about this box up here, the Saved My Plan. Career Cruising has kind of a section that's a portfolio where you can be saving your searches, saving your schools, saving your careers, kind of throwing it all into one place for you to come back to later. And so whenever I get results that I'm interested in finding out more, I save them to my plan so that I can come back and explore more later. So let's go look at Whitworth. I want to show you how much information they pull on this school. Career Cruising's information is incredibly up to date and incredibly detailed. Sometimes when you are on a school's own website, you are getting something from last year or longer when they're telling you about a previous year's freshman class. And so I use the Career Cruising and trust its data every time. It hasn't failed me. So I think you can be confident in what you pull up here too. So it talks about things like the endowment and how big the class is and what the calendar is like. Things that are important to me are the total enrollment. How big of a school is this that I'm going to? If I looked here where it says full-time students and part-time students, and I saw that almost everyone was part-time, I would know that my 4-year experience of being a freshman or being a sophomore would be a lot different than if I had a bunch of full-time students living with me in the dorms. Expenses and financial aid is a great place to expand the View More section because it tells you really interesting things. It talks about the tuition, fees, books, how much room and board is, so what your big total number is going to be. And then when it starts talking about financial aid, you can learn a lot here. In the freshman class, there were 528 students that applied for financial aid. 462 of those were identified as, yes, you qualify for financial aid, you have need. 105 of those students had their need fully met. And the students that had not 100% had an average of about 84% of their need met. And then you can start looking at what their packages are like. The average financial aid package was $31,000. The need-based money was about $4,000, and then scholarships or grants about $23,000 for need-based. And then here where it says average non-need-based aid can be merit aid. And so this is a good place to look at what the possibility is that you would receive from the school. Your financial advisor, Chris and Stuart and Steve, can help you with that much more detailed than I can. I stay away from the money part and lots more on the application process. But as a team, we can definitely help you answer all those questions. And another piece here is all the majors offered at that school, whether it's an AA, a bachelor's, whether they offer a master's program or not. So if you know the career you're looking for and you're exploring which schools are going to offer that major, you want to check here and make sure it is something they have. And you can get the other information here, like what kind of clubs are popular, what kind of athletics are offered, academic information, talks kind of about their calendar, programs they are known for. This one's always an interesting number. The graduation rate, number of students who complete a program within 6 years, was 73%, and 85% of their students return each year. So those are the really important pieces on the careers tab, the college piece, and the assessments. And I want to move on to the method and test prep, and then I'll be able to take questions and answer anything or clarify where I got confused. So to get to method test prep, I'm going to go back just to the main page here. And on the left-hand side, partway down, it says go to ACT and SAT test prep. And there it is. This piece was one of the most exciting things when I started working for Grossman College Funding, was this piece being offered. It's the kind of thing a counselor wants to always provide for their kids, and having this available is wonderful. Method is well recognized for making it easy to chunk the pieces of information that they're going to teach to help prep for the tests into the little chunks that you can retain. So each of the tests, whether it's ACT or SAT, is divided up into weeks. The ACT is a 20-week prep course, and the SAT is an 18-week prep course. And you can see here that they are divided into 4 or 5 lessons each week. I have students that take spring break or take winter break and go through all 18 weeks of work. And I have other students that do 20 minutes a day or do an hour on Saturday. So it's definitely, you can customize it to what works best for you. I certainly recommend taking the extra time and planning backwards so that when you are 3 months out from your test, you're working through these a little bit each day. There are a couple of points that I want to make in case it's not something you can see easily here. The week 2 in the SAT and the ACT are evaluations, and those are like the pre-tests so that the system can take a snapshot of where you are right now then work you through the lessons, and then you can take full-length practice tests in both tests. And what I would encourage is taking the evaluations in both the SAT and the ACT to kind of get a feel for which test is going to be better for you, because you'll do better on one or the other. Or use that information to decide, I need to go spend more time on the ACT because I didn't do as well. And that can help you map out how you want to use the program. The dashboard here, the blue toolbar above the weeks, is a great thing for parents to make note of. Parents, you can log in with your career cruising password and see how your student is doing. Here's the checklist for each of the lessons that are available each week. When they start taking the quizzes and the evaluation tests, their scores are going to show here, so you can see how they're doing. The full-length test scores show up here. Shows you the minutes, how long they spent, what the total SAT score would be. Quiz scores, each of the units that it teaches you has a test at the end, a quiz to show that whether you've mastered it or whether it's a subject you should come back to later. And you'll be able to find those here and see if your students are improving, or if they've gone back and done them, or if they haven't done any of the quizzes and you want to remind them. The mastered word list was one that I was playing with yesterday. And it's just like flashcards. It has multiple choice options for the meaning, just like in the SAT or the ACT. But it shows you which words you've gotten right multiple times and which ones you've gotten wrong, so that I could just go back and print the ones that I got wrong and do those flashcards in real life. And then here's where you find your practice scores. And then I also wanted to show you the resource materials. These are, when you change back and forth between ACT and SAT, you have different resource materials, and these are ones that you can print out and work out on paper. I really liked seeing the very hard math problems one. And there's also user guides for inside method test prep if you were trying to kind of familiarize yourself with working through it and what it looks like and breaking it all down. And I think that's everything that I have for your overview. Kathy or Stuart, do you have anything you'd like to add or, heaven forbid, correct me on?
Hi, I'm here. So
I think I'm muted. Can you hear me?
Yep, Kathy, we can hear you too. Yes.
Okay. No, I think it was great. The only thing that I might add to it is a little bit more of an explanation of why we can't do that one inventory. Just because it requires being in a school, the ability profiler requires being in a school setting where you're sent a time frame and must complete it within that time frame. We've tried to get that, but it's not available to us, and we apologize for that. But the other assessments are great. And that's my primary comment.
Well, thanks, Kathy, and thanks, Melissa. So I guess we'll open it up to any questions at this point. If anybody has any questions that they want to ask, you can raise your hand. You guys can type in a question here. Whatever you want to do, we'll open up for questions, okay? Let's see. Questions, Aiden. So let's see here. I see Aiden has a question, so let me go here. Okay, let's see here. I'll get all the I can hear you stuff. Here's one. Why does the ability okay. Okay, never mind there. We already talked about the ability profiler. So I don't really see any other questions. I think we got all of them answered here. So let's see, any hands up? I'm looking here. No hands up. So I think we're good. I think we're good for tonight. So we're going to be stay tuned for other new webinars that we're going to do for all of our clients and their students. So if you guys have any ideas, that might be a good webinar that you've always wondered about having to do with college or financial aid or anything like that, just send us an email. You can address it to me, and we'd love to hear from you guys to see what other webinars that might be helpful for you. And thanks again for attending. This will be posted onto our website within a couple of weeks, so you'll be able to re-listen to it, or if you're, maybe your spouse wasn't there, or or the student wasn't there, they can listen to it again too. So thank you for attending our webinar, and we'll say good night and happy holidays. And Melissa, anything else you want to say at the end?
No, I really appreciate everybody taking the time to come out. So thank you, and please send us emails, send us tests, ask us questions. I'm really enjoying working with your kids.
Oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Melissa. Stuart, I would like to make one last comment, if that's okay.
Yes.
I just want to say to all of the students and parents out there that this program is amazing. And I hope that our students take advantage of it, parents as well, because the amount of information you can get off of this software program in a very short amount of time is amazing. It would take you so much more time and energy to get on the internet and do all this. It's current, it is great information, and I really encourage all of you to use it. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Okay. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.